Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Wrong Name. I have a small side job where I type out and send invoices for a small company. One of our customers got bought out by a larger company with a rather zealous admin office. My boss forgot to mention the buyout to me, so I sent 2 invoices under the old name to the wrong email address. Their new name is something along the lines of Repair Services Plus. The second time this happened, we got a passive-aggressive email from them along the lines of, "We told you before and we won't tell you again. The name is Repair Services Pulse. Please adjust the invoice and resubmit it." Obviously, they made a few typos in the name. Obviously, I used the name they sent verbatim and have used that name ever since. The first time I did so, we got another annoyed email. I just resent the email the admin sent to us and haven't heard a peep about the name ever since. The next story is called Look Busy. In the early 2000s, my first proper IT job was in a hospital. There was very little money to spare for fancy deployment tools. So we built every new computer with a Windows XP CD, installed all the programs they need, and did all the Windows updates by hand. A lot of the time would be spent waiting for bars to scroll across the screen, as the computers had never heard of fast. Rather than sit in the build room and watch bars scroll, I'd set a few machines off, then go sit on the help desk and take calls if they came through. Then flip-flop between the two. No problem, right? Or so you'd think. This absolute tool of a manager didn't ask me anything about what I was doing. If the phones were quiet, I'd just be functionally sat doing nothing. So she assumed that meant I was sat doing nothing. So without any prior warning, I was hauled into a disciplinary meeting and issued a formal written warning for sitting about doing nothing. In the meeting, I explained to the HR knower and the manager exactly my thought process and that I was in total fact doing more and making myself available more by doing this back and forth work. Unable to back down, as she had to prove her worth to all these men, she told me in front of HR, who sided with her, that it was more important to look busy than to be busy. So from then on, not just I, but all the techs when building computers damn well stayed with them until the job was done. She must have hated that she had to hire extra help desk staff, but again, she could not be seen to back down. A born leader, that one. The third story is called How Hard Can It Be? I was the company's IT department. I asked several times to be given someone to train as my backup, but they stalled and stalled on it. The time came for my vacation, and I asked my boss who was going to get out payroll and other necessary functions while I was gone. These were the old mainframe days when IT did these tasks. Boss said I was to train him to do it. He had the attitude of, how hard can it be? So for the week prior to my vacation, we went through all the routines. He took copious notes and I thought he would do okay. The problem was, where I was going, there were no phones. So if they got stuck, I couldn't help. But I did give the approximate location where this cabin was. Tuesday, I'm out on a lake fishing with my kids and I see a police boat approaching. I was not worried as I have permits and required equipment. Police pull up and ask for me by name. They said that my company had called and they were sending a plane to pick me up at an airstrip nearby. And to get there ASAP. I had to leave my family. Others were there. The police led me to the airstrip where the plane was. I got to a phone at the airstrip and called in. Nothing had gone right. Hundreds of paychecks were not ready. It was payday and people were upset. My boss was apologetic for a change. I got back and did 5 days of work in 2 days. They flew me back Thursday night. I negotiated another full week plus cabin rental, and the boss insisted I train a new employee. The next story is called New Work Ethic. 20-ish years ago, I worked as a technical account manager at a large antivirus company. This meant I was the go-to contact for several large companies that used our software. When they had a problem with it, they called me and I dealt with it or escalated it. 80% of the problems were minor annoyances that were in the online wiki. I taught my customers how to quickly bypass asking me and to look up the issue directly. Sadly, this meant that I had tons of downtime with nothing to do. This led to me being incredibly bored and developing a bit of a bad attitude about the job. My micromanager took me aside and said that I needed to find something to do as I was causing problems in the office. Want me to look busy? Okay, I'm on it. I brought in my own personal laptop. as the office provided one was crap and I played games for anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day. Yes, I had that much downtime. I went from wandering around complaining to sitting at my desk all day, staring intently at my computer. After about 3 months of this, the director took me aside to have a chat. He said that he's really proud of how I turned myself around. Everyone noticed how hard I'm working and that I am no longer complaining and wandering around. He really appreciates my newfound work ethic and wanted me to notice that the improvement in my job performance has been noticed. I kept doing that for 3 years until I moved to a different part of the state. Too bad they didn't let me work from home. The last story is called Trim the Branches. One day I came home and my mom told me the right side neighbor talked to her. The neighbor claimed a city official came over while we weren't there, stopped by her house and asked her to pass along a message. The tree on our side of the fence is too unruly and a few branches are getting too close to the neighbor's house. The city will fine us if we don't cut down those branches. So the city was going to fine us without an official notice? I was certain that the neighbor either got the warning herself or was lying for some free gardening. It was our tree, so we would have done it if they had asked us properly. But my mom and I decided to just cut it down so it didn't become an issue again. She sent me over to let the neighbors know, and after some pleasantries I told her of our decision. Her expression immediately darkened. The tree is in a perfect place to cover my bedroom window from the sun, and it gives me plenty of privacy. Wouldn't it be cheaper to trim it? Cue malicious compliance to the city warning. I told her with a concerned face that we were anxious about the city's fine and that if we had to keep trimming it, it would be costly and a huge headache. At that point, some slight panic seeped into her voice and she offered to pay for the trimming herself. In other words, we wouldn't have to do a thing nor pay a single penny. A better man would have said yes. But by this point, I was a bitter man. I kept a concerned face and told her if I ever left, my mom would have to deal with it. And I wouldn't want her to have to keep checking in with the neighbor for fear of a fine. At the end of the day, our tree, our fine, our decision. I left shortly after. The tree came down that weekend, and so did the neighbor's blinds to her bedroom. A few years since then, and as of yet, I still haven't seen them go back up. And to think, if she had just asked nicely, we would still be trimming those branches at no cost to her. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories in today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and would like to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.